it's high voltage. We gon' light them up, make the world take notice. When the game face on, then it's game over. You a witness and a force to be reckoned. Grinding for greatness, moving and tasking. Ruling the rest cause the movement's electric. This is our house and it's built by legends, yeah. If they coming for the spot, tell them let's rock. Standing like a brick wall to your best shot. Ain't a victory that can't be won when you're rocking with a city made of champions. Come on! It's time to bring the fun. Make the ground shake when we come. Come on! When we strike down, what you gon' do? Come on! Make the ground shake when we come. Yo! Let's go! Let's go!
What is up, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Foul Ball Talk here on Pigtown Sports YouTube channel. Matt Trigger, Tim Malarkey, and we have a very special guest tonight. Joining us from Barstool Sports and Exit 52 podcast. As Tim described him earlier, he is a Baltimore icon. Eric Arditi, how are you doing, brother?
I don't know about the icon talk, but yeah, I appreciate it. I'm good. It's a very exciting week. I know we were talking before the camera started rolling, but we got the Terps. We got the Orioles kicking off. I hope that we would have had a little game today, but you know the Nats had their prom tonight, so we weren't able to get that in. But yeah, I'm excited. It was a long off season. It was a very long off season, but I'm glad we're back.
It was, it was quite the off season. Eric, I know that you have been over there grinding on your show, and first and foremost, we want to thank you for taking some time to join us. But it's been a rather infuriating off season at points, and to be completely honest, I've lost my shit more times than I'd like to admit in terms of just how this off season's gone. Now, here we are 3 days out from the opening series in Toronto. The injury situation doesn't look pretty, to say the least, heading into the season. Everything's still up in the air, with Batista being fully 100% healthy. Gunnar is on the IL, Grayson's on the IL. Obviously, Kittredge isn't going to be back until after till around or after the All-Star break. How do you see this team heading into their opening series for 2025?
I mean, the injuries are, every team. Again, people can really harp on the Orioles injuries. Look at the Yankees. The Yankees are, obviously they're way more hurt than the Orioles are. They've got guys down. But yeah, the injuries are just part of the sport. And that's just, that's why these depth pieces are so important. That's why a Sagano and a Dean Kramer and those guys and Charlie Morton, that's why they're so important. Because again, you're never going to, 2023, the Orioles, their injury luck was next level. We've never seen a team. It was only Cedric Mullins who pretty much got hurt. Everybody else stayed perfectly fine. And even when Cedric Mullins was hurt, we got Barry Bonds 2.0, Aaron Hicks, who played, like a damn all-star for a couple months. But yeah, it's, these injuries are going to be something that they're going to deal with. And like you said, Felix is working his way back. I wouldn't have hated another week or two, a mini IL stint for him, just to kind of, I don't know, just being overly cautious. Anytime a guy's the LeBron James size and throws 100 miles an hour, like the body is just not meant to do that. So I would take extreme caution with him at any chance I can get. And then the Gunnar thing, I'm not worried about Gunnar at all. I'd rather him miss a week. For all we know, I think he'll be back for the All-Star, or not the All-Star, but the opening day and, next Monday. Right. So I got no problem with that. If they want to give him a week to kind of chill and do that, and that's perfectly fine. Even the lineup without him, like we would have seen today, is really, really good. I'll take that lineup any day. But yeah, the injuries are not great. Kittredge is going to be one that kind of comes back to bite him, I think. He would have been a nice, fun piece. And again, hopefully, I hate when people do this, but hopefully he's kind of one of those like, oh, we got him at the trade deadline. Something like that. But again, they've got a couple guys coming back from those injuries. Bradish, hopefully, Wells, hopefully. So I don't know. There's pieces coming down the line, but if they can weather the storm in the first couple months, I think they'll be fine. Again, I'm still as high on them as a lot of other people are, but I think they'll be okay. Again, they're at this point they're a veteran team. They know how to win in the regular season. Not that it matters. We nobody really gives a shit about the regular season wins anymore. It's all about October, and I think they'll get there once again, and hopefully win a game, a series, maybe score multiple runs. Just a suggestion, but yeah, again, I mean, I'm super excited. I do like that the expectations are a bit tempered. Where last year, I mean, I've beaten the drum being like World Series. 2 years ago, we didn't really know what we were getting into, but this year it's kind of like a calm down expectations. But all the gambling sites seem to love them. All the experts are kind of still infatuated with them. So I don't know. We'll see.
I do want to ask you a question because
Shout out Joe real quick though, Matt. Throwing a fucking super chat in there right now.
yes sir, yes
980.
sir, absolutely. Real quick, yeah,
Good old Baltimore Joe.
Yes, that's our guy down in Arkansas, I believe. Eric, I want to ask you because Tim and I talk about this a lot on air with Zach and just by ourselves, and we talk about this in the group chat almost every single day. I am a little bit more of the pessimist when it comes to these injuries.
I warned him. Don't worry.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to be negative, but what is the sense in rearranging the entire infield if Gunnar is going to be back on Monday? Because to me, knowing the history of this team and seeing what they did, where they literally shifted everybody over, Westberg to second. They had Urias playing the hot corner. He's a Gold Glove third baseman in seasons past, so that makes sense. But does it make any sense to you to take Holiday off of second base if they're not expecting Gunnar to miss time? That is, to me, that is screaming we're going to see Gunnar around Mother's Day or Memorial Day, because you're not going to take Holiday off of second base for a week or two. It doesn't make sense to his development.
I think it does. I think out of the shortstop options that are Westberg, Ramon, I guess if you want to throw him in there, and Holiday, I think he's by far the best. Again, Westberg, we've seen him at short like maybe one game or like maybe 2 games, I think. And I just remember being like, he doesn't really look that great there. Again, Ramon didn't, he's played second before. He didn't look great. I know he was a shortstop when Means threw the no-hitter. And he caught that little dimpy little looper from JP Crawford. But I think he's a natural shortstop, Jackson. So I think that's what they're thinking there. Again, I know it's weird that, again, they spent all that time, making sure that, he's got all his footwork down at second base and he's doing this all camp and in the offseason. And then the second the injury pops up, they kind of switch him over. But I think he's their best option outside of, Soto or any of the other guys, Mateo even. I think it's Holiday. I think he's by far again, he was 1-1 for a reason. And I know playing in Oklahoma is different than playing in the bigs, but I just think he is the clear-cut number 1 option if it's not, Gunnar.
I hear you. And I support it. I get it totally 100%. But if you're talking about continuity and getting Jackson used to second and sliding him back over to short, I understand it's his natural position. But to me, it screams that there's a lot more that they're not telling us about Gunnar. Is he's going to miss a significant amount of time early on in the season, because you could have just slid Mateo in at shortstop if it was going to be for one series. That's my thought process to the whole thing. You're talking about you expect we could see Gunnar on Monday, and I want to see Gunnar on Monday. I'm going to the game, but I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, you're gonna take reps away from Jackson at second base in the name of putting him at shortstop, but he's only gonna miss a couple. I don't believe it. It just seems very shady to me that they're doing all of this just for one series.
Again, maybe it's not a series. Again, even for me, if it's 2 weeks, if it's 10 games, I'm perfectly fine with him missing that 10 games. That's whatever. Again, it doesn't really matter in the long run. I'd rather miss the games now than at the end of the season or whatever.
He'll
I
still hit 40.
Yeah, exactly. He'll hit. I just need him to hit over 30. That's all I need. But again, I don't know. I mean, I don't. It doesn't bother me again with the fact that he's been hitting. He's been hitting. He's been fielding ground balls. Unless something else pops up, I mean, again, I'm not anticipate if he's out by Mother's Day. I don't know. I've made some wild bets. I'm not gonna make any more of those. I mean, no, I mean, I don't know. I think he'll be back way before that. And again, if not, then that means something went wrong. But again, Mateo, you go back to it, he's still rehabbing too. And obviously hit the bat, whatever spring training stats, the bat wasn't there. He looked fine in the field, but I don't know. Again, maybe they just kind of want to see what they have in Holiday at short. And I know we saw him there a couple games, but I don't know. I'm not like doom and gloom. I'm not thinking like there's something else behind this. I think that he's just their best option. That's flat out what I think it is. I'd rather see him there than Westberg or Ramon. And again, like you said, Ramon won the Gold Glove at third. Much better there. Westberg's shown that he can handle second, except when who was it? Bobby Witt's running to first in the playoff game.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're talking most athletic, or even if we're doing, falling back to what the Ravens do here in the draft is best available player, you need to plug the whole best available player. Jackson Holiday makes sense. My issue with it is, and I'm not as worried as Matt is, so to speak, but the only little bit that my brain falls back to, a little bit of concern, is the Jackson kind of got the bouncing around, getting adjustments, like learning a new position out of his system last year. And it seemed like, we were plugging away at him, locking into second, being that guy, no matter what. He worked on it. He got to it. And now we're teetering a little bit with, him bouncing around. So I would like to think that means that there is no concern that Gunnar will be back soon. And they're like, a week at short isn't going to mess with Jackson. Now, if it was a month at short, we might be having, a different discussion here. So hopefully that's what that means, that they're not concerned about him, bouncing around, because it's only going to be for a week.
So, and I'm with you there too. And again, somebody said this. He was either Jacob Calvin-Meyer or Matt Wayrich. It was one of the beat reporters. Because again, when Gunnar went down, was that late February? Was it the 27th or something? He hasn't played in the game since?
Very end of February.
So Jackson wasn't playing shortstop. Like it's not like it was right away or like 2 or 3 days later when they were like, oh, this is bad. They had Soto in there. I mean, I went to spring training games from the 6th to the 9th down in Sarasota, and we didn't see Jackson. I don't think we saw Jackson at short down there at all. We saw Soto. We saw what's the guy Vasquez, whoever. So that was my thinking right away too. It was being like, because they said that. I thought that was a good point. Where, like you said, he got hurt. They didn't put Jackson there right away, being like, okay, he's going to be out for 3 months. We have to get Jackson as many reps as we can right now. We have to do this. They let Soto play there, and they let this guy play there, and they let that guy play there. And then again, kind of towards the obviously the end of spring training is when they were like, hey, yeah. And again, I think they're being, I just talked about being overly cautious with Bautista. I think that's what they're doing with Gunnar. Yeah. I think if it's September 5th and he kind of has something on his side, something tells me that he would be like, guys, I'm going to go out and I'm going to play. I'm going to fight through this. I would hope. I mean, he seems like that kind of guy, but I don't know. That's kind of how I read it, was like their initial reaction wasn't like, oh shit, okay, get Jackson over there right now. Let's get him as many, reps and at bats. And then I think as it got closer towards opening day, and again, we all knew, you could tell probably a week before, I don't know, this last weekend, where it's like, oh, he's not playing yet. He's not going to be ready for opening day. And that's perfectly fine. And again, that's when I think they were like, all right, now we're going to start sliding in Jackson there more. And that's,
I'm telling you, it was something with that Airbnb. It was probably owned by a Yankees fan or something.
Soft mattresses, and
these guys' backs are going out. Something's up with that Airbnb, or as Matt would say, too many video games.
Listen, I got no issues leaving a negative review on an Airbnb. So I will again. I will be on the phone with someone. I will be. We'll be ordering something. Some new beds. Some new. I don't know, red light therapy, whatever these damn kids are doing nowadays. So we'll figure something out. But next year we got to get it under control.
So moving on from Gunner, obviously Gunner's at the forefront of everybody's mind in terms of health. Tim, you know where I'm going. You know, good old G-Rod. Now,
This is where Matt is extremely pessimistic as
it's
of
not.
right
It's
now.
not pessimistic. I have a problem, Eric, with the way the leaders of Baltimore sports teams lied to this fan base
I was going
about
to say, don't say it's just the Orioles because
it is
Harbaugh and DaCosta are
Harbaugh, DaCosta, Hyde, Elias. It's like they all have a manual that they sit and they read from, where they say a whole lot of words without saying nothing at all.
It's word salad. Yeah,
It's
they
word
fill their bowl
salad.
up with
It's
word salad.
word vomit.
Yep.
It's
Coach speak.
it's coach speak 101.
Mhm.
Now
Mhm.
here's the thing I'm going to say about Grayson Rodriguez. I'm going to preface this by saying that I am a huge Grayson Rodriguez fan. I want him to be healthy. I hope he is healthy. I hope I am wrong. But it came up in our group chat, and I'm sure you noticed it as well. Tim, I'm gonna shove that box up your ass.
This is Matt's pessimist box.
It's my pessimistic box. Yes, Eric, you got to tell me where there's smoke, there's fire, because Grayson, first it's the tricep being sore, then it's the forearm, and then all of a sudden, oh, we're gonna shut him down for 7 to 10 days, and we're gonna give him a couple shots, and then he's starting to play long toss, and then all of a sudden they say that he's playing long toss. They go radio silent after the announcement, and then 5 hours later, Kyle Gibson's an Oriole again. Now, I understand the depth move. I like Kyle Gibson. I wanted us to bring him back. I said it multiple times over the course of the offseason. I like Kyle Gibson to be on this team. But you can't tell me that they couldn't have signed Kyle Gibson a month ago.
So I'll say I texted some people, and again, same thing, saying, is this a depth move or is this a Grayson move? And what did that text say? It said they said yes. And I was like, go on. And they were like, they said no, I think this is more of a depth move. Because again, even Gibson said it, where they were like, they talked to him about it way earlier in the offseason. And he was like, okay, well, I'm thinking about retiring. I'm thinking about, doing this. And then I think he said, like, a couple weeks ago, he talked to his wife about it, being like, what do you think about going back to Baltimore? And again, I know they did the same thing with John Means. They kept John Means on retainer up until he signed in Cleveland, just being like, hey, man, just stay in shape, just if you're ready, we'll give you a call if we need something. And again, I mean, we've seen it with the injuries. I think it truly is a depth move. Again, we saw Grayson playing catch today. I don't know if you guys saw those videos. He was throwing, I think they set up to 90 feet in the outfield. Him on the soaking wet grass of Walgreens is not great, but it's whatever.
Brilliant.
That's another thing. But no, I'm kind of worried too. The only thing I'm not, they haven't said, because they said it's in the back of the elbow, and they were like they hammered it's not a ligament. It's not, anything like that. They've never said the word UCL. They've never said any of that stuff. PRP, you haven't heard. I hadn't heard anything about a forearm thing. They just kept saying back of the elbow, but it's not from everything I read. And again, I think this was JCM who was saying, like, it's not similar to Bradish at all, because I think that's what kind of everybody thought, because I mean, how many times have we done this song and dance with it was Hunter Harvey and Dylan Bundy and Matt Wieters, and it was the rest, PRP injection, rest. Oh, okay, now he's getting Tommy John. Like, we've been there a billion times. We've seen it going back.
They just have a terrible track record, Eric, of being forthcoming about injuries. Now, I understand they need to keep some things behind closed doors. I get it. But to see just the events transpire, like, you could have had Gibson in here ramping up for the season right after Valentine's Day. You could have had him come in and break camp, with us. and not sign him 3 or 4 days ago. It just seemed there's alarm bells going off. Like, we're gonna be sitting at our respective jobs on a Wednesday afternoon at like
You're gonna get the
11:30.
rock notification.
You're gonna see Rock Kabako pop up on your screen that says Grayson Rodriguez set to undergo Tommy John surgery, will miss all of 2025. It just seems like it's coming, and I feel like the Gibson signing is the, "Oh, well, we added this guy and this guy and this guy," and it's like, okay, I understand that we're like the retirement home for pitchers right now that are, wanting another chance at playing in the bigs, and I like Morton. I think Morton's gonna be good for us this year. I picked on Jacob Calvin Myers' Twitter the other day. He was asking for, a whole bunch of predictions for the Orioles season, and I predicted that Morton was gonna be our best pitcher. That's just me personally, but I just find it very hard to believe that there's not something seriously wrong with Grayson when we're seeing hardly any video of him. Now, I did see that they showed him playing catch, but it wasn't very long. You can't really get a gauge of how far away the person was and all that, but it just seems like they're buying time until we like. I'm not saying the injury is consistent with Bradish, Eric. I'm saying the handling and the timeline is almost identical to where they trotted Bradish out there. He had a couple starts, and then it was worse than they thought. And now all of a sudden in May, he's having Tommy John.
So I at least know, I know that. So I got a DM last January, maybe January. I don't even know who DM'd me, and they had said Bradish is getting Tommy John. He's gonna have to get Tommy John this year. He messed up his elbow. And I texted around to some people like in the warehouse, been like, have we heard anything? And they're like, no, I haven't heard anything. And then obviously the dark day of the first day of spring training, where he's like, oh, Gunner's hurt, and Felix, and this and that, and blah blah blah.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah, just the laundry list. When Elias came out with the notebook and was like, let me see, let's flip this page. That's when you
Oh
knew,
my, yeah, I remember.
yeah, and it was just like more and more means and all that stuff. So that's why, that's the only thing is like the Bradish was way before anybody knew. That happened in January. And again, I think they knew, because again, they even said, I think Elias talked about it, where he was like, listen, we gave him the option and he was like, I'm going to gut it out until this thing pops. And they knew it was going to pop. It was just, again, it's not if, it's when. So that's why I don't know. I think they are different. And again, maybe that's just what I choose to believe. I don't know. Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't have any medical background. I don't know. And again, another thing is again, after the injury happened, that's when we were down in Sarasota. I saw Grayson's family was down there. His wife was down there. I walked by him a couple times, said hey to him. And to me, like, that was a big, like, he's not flying out to go like Cole. When it happened with Cole, they sent him to LA and they get him looked at by that doctor. I don't know who it was. He stayed there. And again, they kind of checked him out there. And that, again, to me, I was like, all right, this maybe is a good thing, where they didn't immediately be like, we got to get him to the best doctor to go get looked at right now and see. And I think even the fact that he's traveling with the team is a good thing. That, again, this is just me just picking up on little weird stuff like that. That's just how I am. He's not. And again, even if you watched him throw today, he was by himself throwing. He wasn't surrounded by Hyde and Elias and the trainer and this guy and that guy. It was just him alone in the outfield. So I don't know. That, to me, when I'm picking up those things, that to me, I'm kind of like, okay, I took like a deep breath and I was like, maybe this is, again, just what they're saying, and they're going to start him from zero and work his way back up. So I don't know. Again, that's just my thinking on it. And again, I know this is going back to your other point about the coach talk and all that. That's just the sport. It's just sports nowadays. And I was thinking about it last night, where it's like everybody has to be so damn secret. It's like the hockey, like upper body, lower body. It's like, you can just tell me he has a bruised elbow.
Right.
Just say it. But yeah, it's
upper body.
Yeah, it's crazy. Thank God baseball doesn't. I'm shocked baseball hasn't started doing that yet.
Yep.
Can you imagine, like, if they?
I'll lose my mind.
Oh,
I will legitimately lose my mind.
It would be infuriating. But that's it. I hate that that's how sports is now, where it's like, and again, it's like you said, Matt, like, it's a competitive advantage. Sure, like I guess technically it is, but it's like, how much are you hot? I don't know. I was thinking about this like 2 or 3 nights ago, just being like, I wish that some of these coaches and GMs would just come out and be like, "Oh yeah, here's what's going on." Just flat out, like, tell them, just say it. Like, that's why I like the Derek Queen quotes, a completely different sport last night, were so great, being like,
Oh, they're incredible.
when coaches and GMs and people in sports, the cliche, Harbaughisms and all that, it drives me mad. And
Yep.
again, you're right, Matt. The Baltimore folks have really, really just, I mean, they eat word salad for dinner. But again, it's everybody, and I hate it. But that's just how sports is now. And
Meanwhile, you got Maryland advancing to the Sweet 16, and the coaches asked, how did he draw up the play? And he said, I went to the huddle, and Derek Queen said, I want the MF and ball. Like,
that's what, like, I want like Hyde in like a press conference one day to just be like, oh yeah, like I asked who wanted to pitch the ninth, and Felix, stood up at it, just something like that. Like, just show some personality. That's what I wish. That's what I wish would happen. But I don't know. You're never going to see that now because these sports teams are treated like FBI, like super. You have to keep everything under wraps, and God forbid anybody knows anything.
That was sort of what you mentioned, Eric, was sort of my telltale, what I was watching for. And then I, was waiting to see when they boarded the plane for Washington, is Grayson getting on that plane headed to DC? And he did. So that's kind of like when I took my deep breath. Okay, he's traveling with the team. He's not, they don't have him locked away in some laboratory right now, hooked up to machines and cameras and everything like that. So that was a sigh of relief for me. So we're still on pitchers. One thing I am very high on this year, and I, from following, you are too. How do we feel about, and what do we think we're going to get out of Slim? I think we're in for. I think this kid's gonna, like, we're gonna get to the All-Star break, and everyone's gonna be like, fans of other teams are gonna be like, who the hell is Cade Povich?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited. Again, I went to, I want to say, 2 of his starts last year. I went to one of the games. I went to the Kerstad hitting the helmet game where he started that game against the Yankees. He gave up like a 400-foot bomb, obviously, to Judge. I think it was one of those games. I think he had like 2 or 3 games where he walked 5 and like struck out 3. It was like almost the exact same stat line. And I just remember like being like, this guy just can't. He can't get over the hump. It reminded me of Gosman. Remember, Gosman would just nibble and nibble and nibble and like around
back in his rec spec days.
Yeah, and it was just like, dude, just throw strikes. Like you're in the major league, just throw strikes. Stop like trying to paint the black on everything. And I just remember being like, I know he's still very young. And again, I mean, they kind of not forced him in, but he was never like, this is the big guy you got to watch for. He was kind of an under the radar guy, at least from the outside looking in. But I just remember being like, he just hasn't taken that step yet. And then he went back down to Norfolk, and then he came up for that September. And my God, what was it, like a 2.4 ERA in those 4 or 5 starts? And
completely looked like a different pitcher.
Yeah. And again, I mean, he dominated the White Sox, and everyone's going to roll their eyes and be like, oh, it's the White Sox. I get it. But it's a Major League Baseball team. We have seen the Orioles pitchers go out and piss down their legs multiple times. Doesn't matter who they're playing. Like that's a big game for him. He pitched awesome against the Red Sox. Yeah. And then, we talked to him, we interviewed him after the Caravan event and talked to him. And he was just like, he seemed like a completely different guy. He seemed confident. And that's the thing with all these guys. They seem so confident this year. Not like cocky, but being like, I have a job to do and I'm going to go out and do it. Yep. But yeah, I mean, it was awesome seeing him. And again, I mean, we talk about these young guys who have an opportunity put on a plate for them, being like, go grab it. Colton did it last year. He played his ass off in spring training. He took a spot from a veteran, and they traded that guy. Kobe Mayo had the exact same opportunity this year. They could have probably traded Ramon or done something if Kobe would have hit 450 or something like that in spring training. He didn't do that. He didn't get a spot. Povich, again, they gave him a spot and said, hey, man, we didn't get Burns. We got Sagano. We got Morton. There is still a spot for you on this rotation. Go take it. And that's absolutely what he did. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped about that. I've seen some people be like, yeah, all-star, and he's going to have a 3 ERA, and I don't think that. I think he'll still take his lumps and bruises because he's still a young pitcher. Yeah. And now what is, again, kind of, I guess we don't really know, but I would assume a more hitter-friendly ballpark. Yeah. Again, against teams who can mash, Vlad Jr., he may not be on the team next year, but he's going to hit 40. Aaron Judge, doesn't have anyone really protecting him other than Cody Bellinger, but he's still going to hit 40 or 50 or 60. And then,
That's
the
crazy.
Rays, the Bregman hasn't been good since the trash can, incident, which people aren't really talking about. If you go back and look, it's not been great. But if there's a team in a ballpark where they kind of get him back, I think it's Fenway. But again, he's going to face some tough guys. So I can see him taking his lumps and bruises, but I'm very excited for him and to see what he has. And it would be great if he kind of just came out and shoved and I'm
and
here
you
to
and I
stay.
saw him. I mean, we saw him at all the Caravan events. When I was standing next to him at PBR that night, to me, he seemed like he put on weight. Like he almost kind of like grew into his man body over the off season. So I don't know. I'm excited for it. Matt, what do you got?
Side note about Boston. I've spent my entire morning and afternoon trolling these people on Facebook, and they hate me. There's a whole group of them that just despises me because because I called him out for Ortiz being a steroid cheat.
Oh yeah. I that's something I'll never understand. He tested positive.
In 2003, him and Ramirez both tested positive. ESPN reported it. Jeremy Fowler wrote an article about it, and everybody forgets it.
Yep. But he was funny. He was funny and he was nice to the media. And that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Literally.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds was a jerk, and that's the only reason why he's out. But
and
they gave him a smashed phone for his retirement.
They hated that I said that he was a cheater. I said, you guys are blinded by him. I was called every name under the sun, and I just started laughing at all of them. I said the amount of people from like Maine and Vermont and Massachusetts that were tagging me in replies, and I was just like, you know what? I'm enjoying myself. I hope I bring this up. I knew I was going to bring it up tonight, and it's funny you mentioned Boston because one of the guys I do a wrestling show with, he lives in Massachusetts, and he's a huge Red Sox fan. And I said, you're the only Red Sox fan I like, so I'm not going to mess with you. But he went and looked at the comments, and he was like, Ortiz didn't cheat. And I literally sent him the article. And I was like, how did you forget this shit?
Yeah, like it's public. It's out there. Like you can look it up. Just do 1 ounce of research. I'm begging you, people. Like just do it.
All you have to type in is David Ortiz steroids, and it's the first thing that pops up.
Yep,
It's not even like you gotta like swipe and scroll.
Yeah, it's right there. Like
I'll probably get rolled for this, but I took my pilgrimage last season, or was it 2 seasons ago, to the Green Monster for an Orioles game, and
Fenway's fine.
My dad told me it was a shithole when he visited there years ago.
Yeah,
so I don't have. I mean, it's on my bucket list if I ever do like a stadium tour. But
yeah, it's small. Like I'm a small guy, and I felt cramped when I was there. I will say it was. It's very cool. It feels like a carnival. I haven't been in 10, 12 years, but when we went, it was like a late September game. It was raining. They were playing the Rays. But the Rays were fighting for playoff position. The Red Sox weren't, so they needed to get the game in. It was like an hour and a half rain delay, just dumping rain. But again, it was like, on Yawkey Way or whatever, it was like there were games and there were street performers and all that. So it was like cool. Again, as a baseball fan, you're like, okay, this is neat. But yeah, like I'm not like I want to go up this. I know they have a weekend series this year. I don't know when that is. I want to go up again for it, but I'm not like I got to get back to Fenway. I got to go see where Jimmy Fallon sat in those seats. And
I did PNC last year, and I think that's been my favorite away stadium.
Well, they literally modeled their stadium after Camden Yards.
Of course, that's why I like it.
Yeah, it's like you're, but I mean, going to Pittsburgh just doesn't. Like I'd rather shit in my hands and clap.
I do wish that they would have. That they were going to put a pirate ship in PNC Park. And the ownership nixed it. They were like, "No, we're not doing it."
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Oh, well, I don't know how they would have went with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers already having that.
Yeah, I mean that's again, they've got the blueprint right there. They're stealing everything else. They might as well just run that play back. So
yeah, I just wanted to add that little quip because even up until showtime, I was still getting alerts on Facebook like, "Hey, so and so tagged you," in a reply. I they all asked for proof, and then when I provided the proof, all of a sudden I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
How dare you tell the truth?
I'm like, I provided contextual evidence that, you're wrong. and I'm right.
And again, it's fine. He cheated. A lot of people cheated. That's perfect. That's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But Ortiz, if anybody looks at Ortiz's numbers from Minnesota to Boston, I
Mhm.
get that you went to a better baseball team. But if you look at his numbers, that 5-year stretch where he's in his mid 30s to late 30s and he's still hitting like crazy, and then in the midst of that he tested positive and they never said what it was a positive test for. And it's like Francona was like a mafia boss getting rid of like the story.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, he's cool to, listen to talk, him and Jeter had this little cute banter on TV and all this stuff. Hell no, he's a cheater. If he's in, Bond should be in. If
Again, the only reason Bonds isn't in is because the media didn't like him.
Todd Helton is in and he shouldn't be in. If you're gonna let those steroid guys in just because they weren't assholes to the media,
Mhm.
Alomar, he used them. He's in. Like Bonds and Sosa and Clemens and all them should be in
A-Rod,
it. Yeah.
all those guys,
They saved baseball. I'm not trying to go on this long, rant or anything, but yeah, David Ortiz is a cheater, and he always has been. There's no way that you're 42 years old hitting fucking 40 home runs in the AL East. There's no way. I refuse to believe it. Just because you're funny and there's a reason he got stabbed in the Dominican Republic. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
He's not the
All right.
greatest guy. Let's say
So this will be our last show before opening day. So we gotta, we
Yes,
gotta
it
go.
is.
We got to go around the horn here, and this is something that RDT is famous for on Twitter every year. And I always forget to circle back to it at the end of the year and check to see where I ended up. And I probably have like 4 or 5 years worth of bookmarks that I've never gone back and looked to see how terrible I did. But we'll go around the horn here just to spice things up before we get this rolling. So record. I went 93 and 69. I know it's a little bit provocative, but I'll take a 93 and a good old 69 L's
Okay.
record, Matt.
Oh, I was gonna let Eric go since he's our guest.
I'll go. I'll say they get 90 wins on the nose. Not I'll say 92. I'll say 92. I think they're 1 win better than last year. I think they're a much better team than last year. Not much better, but I think they're a 92 win team.
92 and the division.
Yeah, sure.
Probably neck and neck.
Yeah, somewhere again. I think it's gonna be close.
It's gonna be close. Matt,
I'm gonna go 90 and 72. I'm sticking with my prediction from actually what you put out the other day, Eric. So I'm gonna stick with 90 and 72 for the predictions. I'm not gonna deviate.
no one's gonna pull an Andy Koska. I know you see me, Andy, right now, and you and your Debbie Downer predictions. All right.
Joe Radke says 108, like we're playing MLB the Show.
Yeah, yeah, like it's my game. I'm gonna play after this. Like,
most valuable Oriole.
You've heard me, tooting the horn all off season. I think Adley gets back to old Adley. He looks good. He said he feels great. He feels refreshed. There's no distractions going on this year. I think he's going to have a really, really good year. Just all around behind the plate, at home runs, everything, driving guys in. I think he's back to that like opposite field hitter that we saw again. We saw it all spring training. So I'm riding high on Adley.
At home run derby, let me go left pops.
Yeah, exactly.
I
What a boss move that was.
I hope you're correct.
It's so refreshing having another Adley believer on here.
It's not.
Matt, most valuable Oriole.
I'm gonna stick with my pick from a couple days ago and Jordan Westberg.
That is also my pick. Westy.
I would like that. What's his year look like if he's the MVO? What are his numbers looking like?
I think he hits 283, and I think he has over 20 home runs, and I think he's around 70 RBIs, maybe a little bit more. But more importantly, I think he plays Gold Glove defense, and I think he ends up being the permanent number 3 hitter on this team.
I like that.
Yeah,
like that.
I'm thinking pretty similar to Matt. I might come off the home runs a little bit there, but like 270 would be the bottom of the average for me for him. But I think it's just him. We saw how much this team's like chemistry, aurora, whatever you want to call it, changed when Westberg got hurt last year.
Mhm.
And then when you ask the players, like even when I walked around, I got to talk to a couple like, what's different? And everyone was like, we miss Westberg. We need Westberg back. Like multiple players, their first answer was Westberg. And like
He's
they call him the general or the captain or something. I don't know. I just think that this team is different when he is healthy and swinging the bat.
100%. He's the cog that makes everything go. That the lineup, without him in the lineup, again, it was a fine lineup. It was good. Without him in the lineup, though, it just didn't seem fluid. The lineup flows so well when he's in there, and again, it could be when he was batting first. It could be when he's batting third. It could be when he's batting sixth. Again, I remember he was hitting like seventh at one point. It was like this guy's batting like 285.
Mhm.
Again with like 15 home runs, he's batting seventh. Like I'm with you. He makes everything go so smooth. He's a robot who was put on this earth to play baseball. That's just
Yep.
he's the perfect Buck Showalter player too.
Oh,
Like,
Buck would be
Buck would be over the moon. Like
Yep.
if he ever had Jordan Westberg. So yeah, that's a good pick. I'm riding high on Westy too. Plus with the beard, you kidding me?
Dude, I know Westberg with a beard.
Oh,
Mm.
he's
He's about to get his own what's his name, Amir Khan NIL deal just for the beard.
enough of that guy.
All right, best pitcher. What you got, Matt?
My best pitcher, I'm sticking with Morton. I think Charlie Morton is going to be one of those bulldog type of pitchers.
Inning
I
eater.
I think he's going to be an innings eater. I think that he's going to probably average his, career highs in terms of the last couple of years where he's still been highly productive in that area, even getting up in age. I think he's going to eat at least 170 to 180 innings this year. I think he's going to be that guy where every outing you might see him go six and a third, and that's
I hope so.
hopefully he doesn't get save for one or two times where he goes out there and gets shelled, but that's with every pitcher. It seems like pitching in Oriole Park is still difficult once it gets hot and humid outside. But I think Morton is going to be the best pitcher on this Orioles rotation this year, and he might be overall the best pitcher on the 26.
I went Povich, shock the world, Slim. That's all I gotta say. Go out there and shock the world, Slim. Make them know your name.
I'm going with Eflin. I think again, you want to talk about a guy who seems comfortable and like fully bought in. Eflin, again, I did not. If you could have given me again, obviously that house we talked about was Gunner, Adley, Mountie, Colton, Westberg. If you would have you could have given me 20 other answers. I would have never guessed that Eflin was
Never. As soon
Never.
as I heard that, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Like it just again, he and like if you watch like the video game, like the movie they put out, the video they put out about like, oh, what's the best video game? Like he was great in that. He just seems very loose. He seems confident. Again, like he's wearing the shark tooth necklace that
they're all wearing.
Yeah, that the guys are wearing. And again, I really liked what I saw out of him last year. I mean, again, similar to Morton, like you kind of, what you're getting out of him. He's not going to, what's he going to walk one guy a game, maybe on a bad night. I think he was nasty. And again, I think he has that, like, I think him being around Morton and Gibson eventually is going to be good for him being like, hey man, like you have the stuff, you can be nasty. And, you have what it takes to be, the 1A, on this team right now. And hopefully Grayson is back eventually. But I think he's going to be dirty. I'm really excited for a full year of him. I wouldn't be shocked if they extended him sometime this season. I think that would be a massive, massive move. 3-year deal, 4-year deal, something like that.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. I think he really, really likes being here. It seems, that's something.
And he's like
jump on right now.
He's in a position to like not make this his team, but make this his team. Like be that guy, and that would be really cool to see. I like that.
Again, an outsider coming in middle of the year, being like, hey man, we need you to be the glue that holds this rotation together. And Why not him going out and, I don't know, winning? I know the win stats BS and it doesn't, but winning 14, 15 games, I don't know, 3.3, 3.4 ERA, something like that. I think he's got that bulldog in him too. He's I don't know if you guys have ever
he's
seen him.
so fucking big.
So we were walking, we went to one of the open practices and down in Sarasota, and it's just like a regular softball or baseball like setup where there's like 4 fields and a walkway and blah blah blah, and he cut in front of us from one field to the other. He's built like a refrigerator. He is massive. His shoulder, I was shocked at how big he was. So I knew he was tall, but I didn't realize that he was just a dude. Like, he's big. Plus again, another year of dad strength. I mean, that's got to count for something. So look, it would be great if his numbers on the road were better because he's sleeping away from the kids
instead of at
kids
home.
under 3. That would be. I may have to hammer his numbers on the road when he starts, just because he's getting the more rest. So,
and I think is it 3 girls too?
I think so. So, yeah, girl dad power, good for him.
Oh yeah, you two are both girl dads. There you go. All right. Next on the docket is biggest surprise. I liked this one. My biggest surprise, Brian Baker. Now, it might not be too much of a surprise because, everyone's like, oh my God, he's throwing 100 miles an hour. But I don't know. I think he has the chance if he makes this team, because I don't think they've confirmed him for that last spot yet, have they?
No, I don't think he's going to make it with Bautista being back, but
right.
I don't know.
What worries me is that there's no options in the bullpen.
Yeah,
we have no options.
Yeah, and that's
at all
one of
the
crazy favorite things. But I don't know. They got some egg is going to crack somewhere. But
so I threw a little curveball there. I'd like to see Brian Baker just kind of not be the old Brian Baker that we know and love. I don't know. He looked hungry to me in spring training. The reports were good on him. Just tried to do something different than, my biggest surprise being the same thing that everybody picks. O'Neill's going to hit 30 bombs or whatever everyone's saying. So,
but are you really surprised if O'Neill hits 30 bombs and Camden Yards? I mean,
no.
The dude looks like a middle linebacker.
He talks like one too.
Hey, at this point, just hit 30 home runs, and then we can find the other 12 that Santander hit somewhere else. But the more Santander talks, the less I like what he's saying, because it's a bunch of bullshit at the end of the day. I know you guys love Santander. Tim, I know you and Stephanie love Taters.
Never taking Tony off the mount.
I don't think that deal ages well at all. Again, I love the guy, but he's a 230 hitter. You're not paying him $92 million.
No.
And it drops even lower when it gets cold outside.
But he was one of my favorite guests at your Meet the Birds, though.
He was probably the best one. I think he was the best one.
That was incredible.
He was great.
Did Eric pick the surprise of the biggest surprise?
No,
Eric.
Not yet. I'm going with what Joe's saying over here in the comments. I think Seti, again, in a walk year. I think he kind of knows the writing is on the wall. He's kind of, I think he's playing out his last days as an Oriole. It's going to be interesting because he was the Enrique Bradfield to the Adam Jones, who is Cedric Mullins, and he's seen that whole kind of life cycle. I don't think he's back next year, obviously. But I think he goes out and I think he has a really good year. Not a really good year. I think he's, I think the second half he was much better than the first, but I think we see him steal a lot more bases. I think I would love to see the home run power come back. It is crazy that he was a 30 home run hitter. Like, we don't talk about that enough as we should. He was a 30-30 player. But I think his average is up there. I think he's a 260, 270 guy. Would love that, obviously. I would love for him to finally get a Gold Glove. It feels like he's been edging us with Gold Gloves. He's been making incredible plays for God knows how long.
Randall is speaking my language.
So I think he's a big bounce back kind of surprise player for me. He could have been my biggest surprise and my comeback player of the year. So I'll fill that one in now too.
Yep, that's he's there for me for comeback player of the year. I would have given it to Adley, but that would be just based off the second half. You know what I mean? But and all of the naysayers that have sold and sent their package into the wind for Adley and gave up on him. So I can't wait for that. Matt, Matt, who do you have for biggest surprise?
Not Adley Rutschman, but Sugano. I picked Sugano. I'm not gonna say that he's gonna win 20. But
20's a lot. 20's a lot.
20's a lot.
20's
I
a
do
lot.
believe he wins about 13 games this year. I'm putting that as my benchmark. I think he wins 13. I think that the first time that everybody sees him is where he's going to pick up majority of his wins because they don't know what to expect from him. Because
they don't know the game plan.
Right. They don't have a whole lot of tape on him. It's against other Japanese hitters who are in some ways more disciplined hitters than American hitters. I'm not saying they're the same caliber, but I think this shock factor is going to get Sagano probably about 6 or 7 wins off the top. And then he's going to grind out the rest, I believe. I don't think he spends the whole year in the rotation. I think he gets some of those wins out of the bullpen, but that comes later on in the year, especially when Gibson when Gibson gets up here and then we eventually get Bradish and Wells back. I think that he sees some middle relief or long relief duties where he picks up a couple wins that way, but I think he ends up with 13 this year. That's just the number I'm sitting on with him. So Sugano's my surprise of the year.
It's going to be cool to see a 35-year-old rookie of the year.
That would be insane. I would love that.
He was like plus 2,000 or something on DraftKings. So.
We'll speed this up since we're coming up on an hour here. What was my other one that I want? Oh, this is one of my favorites from RDT's list. One hot take. Mine is Jackson Holiday steals 45 bags this year.
I've been trying to bet his stolen base. And he's not available. Yeah, he's not. I'm like, just let me hammer a stolen base prop with him in there, and they won't. He's not listed. But
if he did 45, he'd be top 5. But
yeah, easily. Yeah, that's a good one though. I like that. I think he's going to run a lot.
I hope so because I'm so sick and tired of last season watching them not steal bases.
Jorge Mateo getting on first and just standing there.
You have
Cedric, like just go.
And even like people don't realize this because we look at him as a hitter and like, whatever, but Colton Cowser is fast as hell. Like we have 4 or 5 of the fastest guys in the American League.
Kerstad, look him up on Baseball Savant. His speed, he's a fast dude. He's a weird athlete, but he can steal bases too.
And so we stand on first base.
Yep. Listen, I'm right there with you. I was pounding that drum. Again, we've seen crazy stuff happens when guys are running and they're moving. You create chaos on the base paths and good stuff happens. That's just, you're going to get thrown out. Sure. Whatever. Right. Everybody is going to, but weird stuff happens when guys are throwing the ball around and it creates opportunities. So I'm right there with you. Run. Give him the green light. Give everybody the green light. Let Gary Sanchez steal if he wants. I don't care.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no problem. I'm trying to think. A hot take. Man. I was going to try and say something about like Jackson. I was going to say not starting All-Star, but I think Jackson makes the All-Star team.
I like it.
I don't know if that's a hot I'll say that's my hot take. If that's
I picked him as one of the All-Stars when you were putting that out there.
Yeah, see, I think he has he seems, if you watch him and you read his comments, I mean, the video today he put out on Instagram, he seems like he has whatever weight that was on him last year is gone. It's just gone. Last year you read his comments and they just seemed very like like he was it seemed like he was playing up and again he was. It seemed like he was a 16-year-old playing or a 13-year-old, 14-year-old playing on varsity in a big varsity team. Like he seemed like he's like I think I know I belong, but I'm kind of shaky right now. You read his comments and he's joking around, he's laughing like he when Basayo hit that home run and his answer was, I don't know if they have the metrics on it, but I can tell you they're wrong. Like we weren't getting that from him last year.
No.
I think he is. I think the cameras are out of his face. I think he's tired of seeing number one prospect. Oh my God, he got sent down. Oh my, this and that. I think he's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go play baseball this year, and I'm gonna have fun doing it. So that's what I think. He's gonna
Well,
let his
yeah.
hair down, if you want to, whatever analogy there. But I think he's gonna make the All-Star team.
Now, now all eyes are on Mayo and Basayo. So now he's just one of the baby birds that's going to get a chance to grow up, for lack of a better word.
Pretty much. He's going to go through the same thing Gunnar went through, and he kind of already did. We've seen it. And Kalzer, we've seen this before.
Yeah.
Adley too. So
I agree with you. And for my hot take, I kind of pounded that drum a little bit earlier with the Grayson missing all of 25, and that's what I put on your tweet the other day. But another,
man.
to kind of deviate from that, to not, circle back to the earlier part of the show. Another hot take that I could see is Basayo making his debut after the All-Star break. I think we see Basayo in Baltimore this year. I don't know how long he'll be here, and I'm not saying it's going to be an Adley fall off, but I think that he is going to play so well in the minors that they have no choice but to at least give him a shot in the bigs. And I think that he can potentially be our DH come time for roster expansion. So I'm gonna say Basayo is an Oriole, a major league Oriole by the end of the year. That's my hot take. I don't want to predict any trades or anything like that because it seems like it's a crapshoot with this team right now. So in terms of dealing people, and everybody knows we're desperate for arms. So the asking price for their arms everywhere is probably egregious at worst. So I'm not going to go there, but I truly believe that we see Basayo on the big league club before the year's out.
I had another hot take that I battled with because a lot of people forget about him, and we don't hear much about him. Even though that we literally made construction changes to the ballpark this year. But Ryan Mountcastle, I mean, with all these names on this team, like it's really easy to just be overshadowed. But if he's swinging the bat like the Mountcastle that we all knew and loved through the dark ages, and now this wall is benefiting him a little bit, I mean, we could be looking at 35 from Mountie, and I don't know if that's necessarily even that hot of a take. Like
He'll be
get there.
he'll be pissing in a cup every week in September if he goes from 13 to 35. He's gonna be pissing in a cup every week. And I'm telling you right now, I don't like that they've messed with the wall out in left field, and just to kind of, heal the bruised ego that is Mountcastle's home run production.
You got to remember it. If it doesn't just help our bats.
It helps it helps Judge, it helps Vlad, it helps Bregman, it helps all of them. But Eric, to round out the show, we usually do this segment every time that we're on air during the season, and with the season being a couple days away, we space our shows out to where we it's like every 2 series, then we're back on again. So since you're our guest, after Toronto and Boston, what do you see the Orioles record being after the first 2 series?
What is it? Is it a 4-game series? What's in Toronto? Is it 4 games? I think
It's Toronto for 4, and I think Boston's here for 3.
I think that sounds right. I'll say 5-2. I think they're 5-2. Again, Toronto has a whole bunch of stuff going on. They don't know what they're going to do. They don't know who they're going to have. They're just kind of they have a bunch of internal fighting going on over $600 million price tags. So I think that has something to do with it. And then the Orioles just always win on their home opener. And I think they're going to be good enough to take. I mean, 2 out of 3 from Boston. I think I would be lying to myself if I went any other way. But yeah. So I think they win both series. And then again, I think they're 5-2 after those those first two series.
There you go. Tim, where do you see the Orioles after their first 7 games?
7-0.
All right.
I will say I started 13-0 in the show.
No,
I
the reason
I think I simmed 10 of those games. I played one game a series or yeah. So I started 13-0. So video games don't lie.
I will
not at
say
all.
this.
I said 7-0 because do you guys remember what was the Manny Machado year? Was that 2000 whatever when we started? We went like I can't remember what it was. We were like 18 and something, 2 or 4 or 6. I don't know. We started the season like red hot it was the Manny Scope prime time season.
I'm
I'll
not
have
this
to go back and
pessimistic,
look.
by the way.
No, but if I'm being real, Boston is the team in the division that scares me the most right now.
Not me.
I will give you a real answer, and it would probably be 5-2. It could even be 4-3 because it wouldn't surprise me if we dropped 2 games to Boston. But
Win the opener though. Win the home opener.
yeah, we'll win the home opener for sure. I'm trying to think pitching matchups like who's going to fall into place because I guess they basically said Cade's going to be the home opener.
Stop the nerd shit.
So I like where Eric's head's at. If I final
So do
answer 5-2.
5-2. Okay. I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic based on the situation of who we're playing the first series. I think we get out of Toronto with 3 out of 4, and I think we sweep Boston at home. 6-1, first 7. I think that Povich goes out there and absolutely blows people away at the home opener. But I think that this team is going to start hot, even with the injuries. There's still a lot of offensive production. I will say that this is going to be a 6-1 team. I think we take care of business with the Blue Jays. I think we drop 1 up there. I'm not going to say we're going to go up into the Toronto and sweep. I'm not there yet, but I think we sweep Boston at home. That's just my feeling on it. Because I think after Povich, I think we're gonna see Eflin and Morton
Mm-hmm.
or Eflin and Kramer, depending on how they go after opening day. So you might see Povich. You're gonna see Povich and Eflin those first 2 games. So I think that's gonna be pretty tough for the.
It would be a really nasty home opener if it was like Povich, Eflin, Sugano.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe Sagano because again, Boston's never seen him. They've seen Kramer a ton.
right.
Maybe you just throw him in there and
that's very true. Hyde likes to play around with the rotation and switch guys on days. It's been done plenty of times. But Eric, thank you so much, man, for coming on to the show. We love the work that you do over there. Tim's obviously one of your biggest supporters. He is at everything that you have going on. For the people on our end who don't necessarily know what you're all about over there at Barstool, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, so again, I'm the guy that's constantly tweeting at EDITTI22. Again, just trying to kind of mix it up and toss some laughter and try and make people laugh. Getting not I don't think I get too serious, but we're all just trying to do the same thing, watch baseball and laugh for a majority of the time. So again, you follow me over there. Again, Exit 52 and
boys
on Barstool Sports, doing baseball, mixing in some Orioles stuff. And again, just we'll be over there all year long doing baseball. Hopefully it's deep into October and not just 2 days into October.
Absolutely.
Like I went back and I looked at all the blogs I've written, and it like my one blog was like, there's nothing like playoff baseball in Baltimore. And then the next day when they were eliminated, it was like the Orioles are eliminated, scored 1 run, blah, 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 but this sucks. And I was like, oh man, what a quick,
that was a very bad day for us. That show was very tense.
I don't even know if we did a show. I didn't. I don't.
We did a show, and I told everybody that was watching and listening that Corbin Burns was never going to be an Oriole again.
Oh yeah,
he did.
Yeah, I
Eric, where are you going to be at on Monday? Up on the porch?
I don't know yet. I got to figure that out. I know I'll be in the
Be
ballpark.
floating.
I'll be at Pickles. I don't know if it'll be at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. or something.
I'll be-
Something early,
Si-
but
I'll be down there, but I'm not going to do all the drinking festivities. I don't drink, so
My call
okay.
time is 7 a.m. at
you're
Pickles.
crazy. I'll be down there like around 1:30.
I got to get a bar seat, bro. I can't walk.
See, I would rather be a place
I
2
wasn't
hours
going
early
there.
than wait in line for 5 minutes. Like,
Exactly.
that's just
Yeah.
once I just want to get in. That's all I need. Just let me get in, and I'll be
Plus,
good.
I like going and messing with the 105.7, the guys, while they're all setting up and everything. It's a great thing.
But yeah, that'll do it for the last. That'll do it for the last episode of Foul Ball Talk of Spring Training 2025. Tim, go ahead and sign us off. Eric, you can hang in the back. I guess we'll chop it up off there a little bit. But before we go, guys, my football podcast with Daniel Wilcox will be live in about 8 to 10 days. We are finalizing some details now. We Bleed Purple Podcast. Follow us on YouTube. We will be over there. For all other Ravens content, check out Exit 52 Podcast with Eric and the boys. That's another trustworthy source of Ravens content. Tim, go ahead and sign us off, my man.
Ladies and gentlemen, we play baseball this week. It's here. It's time. Time to get pumped. I'll catch you all down Pickles. Peace.